G'day folks, welcome back to Thommos Tin Shed, and we're back on the Jack Nelson Ballot, and as you can see she's a bit light on for bodywork, and that's exactly what we're going to be solving. Now I was going to go straight onto the bomber seats this episode, but we realised we really need to get this body finalised and finished and looking like a complete car. Kind of baby steps and now leaps and bounds, and as we're sprinting to the finish line for the Red Dust Revival, we need to really start motivating in our packaging. So this episode we're going to be getting all that body finished out. We do all the last bit of fabrication work on the body. We can do the chairs further down the road, but for now we need to get this done and dusted. So stick around, it's going to be a busy one, but it's going to be a good one. So don't forget, hit like, subscribe, hit those notifications, and let's get on with it. G'day folks, I'm Thommo. Hey, you're there, I'm here, I'm doing stuff, you're watching, perfect. So this, folks, is the only image we have of the back end of Jack Nelson's Ballot. Not very inspiring, is it? So that means we get to play. That means we have to fill that section with whatever we want to do with it. So this rear whole section through here, this rear panel is going to be one panel. I have a 3-inch red tail light coming in, which is a stoplight. It has to be part of the rules. We have an active working stoplight. So I'm going to center it in the bottom here. But I'm going to put a step relief just to give the back panel some stiffness and a bit of profile. I'm actually going to run that up over the top so the brake light will sit right in this little spot there. And then as you can see here, we've got about a 4-inch radius through here. So we're going to wheel that section through there to get it to turn over, and we're going to terminate it right on this edge here. This section is just going to have a tonneau cover on it, so that's not getting filled out. So let's just take you over to the sheet to show you what I've got planned. Okay, so this is the rear panel already marked out. As you can see, we've got this bead relief that goes all the way around the periphery. This is what I was talking about. We're going to put a brake light in here. So I'm just going to set the relief through here just to give that brake light like it's a factory location. This line through here, that's where the radius for the wheeling starts. So this is our start point. We're going to radius for that. But before we can do that, we need to bead roll this. So that's what's next. We'll bead roll that, then we'll get to the English wheel. So the rear panel is progressing. We've done the bead rolling. That's a little section. That's where the little red light's going to go. Going to use the red brake light from an early English car, little Mini or something. We've wheeled off this to get the radius around that. There's a few railway tracks there, but that'll panel out. And we've still got to fit it, form fit it down through there. So that's ready to cleco and trim in place. I'll show you when we get it all trimmed up, ready to go. I'll show you how that looks, but it's not always smooth sailing when you're doing this work, and I'll show you why. This is what attempt number 2 looks like. And trying to bead roll with my wife, got her on the wheel, and I've had a moment where the sheets flopped away and I've driven offline, so that looks terrible. And this one I tried doing last night, and it had a nasty little grab through here, which I planished out, but it still didn't look any good. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, aside from all the smoke and mirrors, sometimes you have to throw material in the bin because you just got it wrong. But luckily, on third attempt, we had Woody from Cool Junk come over this morning, got my wife on the wheel, Woody and I supported the material, and we were able to bead roll the one that's going on the back of the car. So now we can move forward. So now that we've got the rear panel ready to go, before I go weld this on, I need to put some etch primer on this panel through here. Once this goes on, the side skins go on, trying to get into here will be problematic. So you see, I've just put a little bit of etch primer down through here, just to seal out. I'm going to put 227 Sikaflex to seal them seams out. And then that'll all be primed in base coat etch. It's like a natural neutral colour, sort of off-page colour. And then when this gets welded in, we're going to do the same in there too. Because when I put the skins on, which is going to happen very soon, there's no way I'm going to be able to access this once the skins are in place. And as you can see, folks, let me get there, after a couple of weeks of sitting in the damp weather, the inside has got a bit of surface frost as well. So we're going to wire brush and orbital sand that all back to nice clean metal, and I'm probably going to put just a single coat of etch primer onto that as well. That's kind of what we've got to do right now before we start welding in that back panel. Okay folks, as you can see, not primed, etch primed. So the whole back firewall area has now been etch primed up. As you can see in this time lapse, I've gone through and seam sealed all this stuff while I've got access on it. So that's just going to stay like that now. And as we progress with the body, we're going to put more and more etch primer. I'm just going to basically seal the body up into this neutral etch primer. All the inner framework's done. Just means we don't have to try to get in there with a spray gun later. So now that that's done, it's back panel time. So I'm just going to start setting up for that, and we'll get the back panel welded in, dressed up, finished. We're going to prime the inside of that, and we'll get this all ready to go. So as I mentioned before, we got the rear bulkhead all etched up. That's all finished out, ready to go. And now, of course, rear panel's done too. So that's all finished out, that's complete, ready to go. In here, we've got to do a fuel tank and a battery carrier and a fuel pump system. It's going to be in there. Now come back around here, and you can see we've got this bit of bead relief, just to give the car a little bit of profile. It's a little bit wobbly up here. Not going to worry about that. It's only a race car. But we've now got that all finished off. Now we move on to this thing here. We're going to now work on setting up the brackets for the dash, and then look at that little bit of brake stuff we've got to deal with. So let's get on with that now. All right, folks, we're at sort of a bit of a stop point right now. We've got a bit of housekeeping to do inside the cabin area before we can final skin the exterior. A couple of bits and pieces to do while we've got access, while we can obviously get in and around it. So we've got some brackets to do for the dash face here. I'm going to create a dash obviously for this car, and I'll need the bracketries. Once the top cowl skins go on, I won't be able to access that, so kind of have to do that now. And as I mentioned earlier, there's a little cutaway to do for the brake rod, the action rod on the brake pedal. I need to cut that out and do a little piece there. I need to drill some holes for the seat frames. I've got to know where the seat frame's going to go, so I'm going to pre-drill those so they're ready to go. And over the course of the last couple of weeks, with the damp weather and the cold mornings, the whole interior of this skin work, all that nice tin work we did a couple of weeks back, has now got a nice, simple, even coating of surface rust on it. So just to final out, I'm going to wire brush and orbital sand the whole interior, and like we've done in the trunk area, we're just going to put a single coat of etch primer onto it just to seal out the tin, and then that will be ready to do a template for the side skins and then take this thing to closure. So I'm just going to put these bits and pieces on time lapse, little cavalcade of bits of bracketry that we're doing and little bits and pieces, and when we get to the end of this thing and she's all etched up, we look at templating the side skin. that's an end of a pretty busy day. We've been flat out doing all these little bits and pieces, trying to get that rear panel done. Bit of a hiccup with that, but we managed to get it out. So big shout out to Woody from Cool Junk. Ducked across this morning and assisted with the bead rolling. We had a big piece that just kept trying to have a mind of its own. So we managed to get the rear panel done finally. 3 pieces and we got it right. But we managed to get all the housekeeping bits, all the bits that we need to do inside the cab. So we've got the dash panel mounts already to go. We can do a dash panel whenever we want now. Doesn't matter, it's already there. We've done the brake rod cutout. That's been all modified. I haven't drilled the seat holes yet, but they're only holes through a floor pan, right? And we've managed to get the whole interior of the cabin area sealed out in etch primer, and we've even gone through and done seam sealing around all the holes and gaps. So we literally are ready at this stage to create and put the side skins on and finish this body once and for all, which is what we're going to do tomorrow. When we get up in the morning, we're going to come down here, hit the ground running. We have to create a template for the side panel, transfer that to steel, cleco it back in place, do a final adjustment, trim it, see what we're going to do with it, and then weld it on. So we are literally getting close to wrapping up business on the body. The minute that body is welded up and dressed up, and I get some manpower over here and lift it off, get it out of the way, and then we start working on the driveline and all the mechanical elements. You can't see here, that there, right there, that's the motor. I've just started to create a little bit of an engine startup stand so I can fire that up. That's going to happen next week as well. Just going to make sure it kicks in the guts and does and starts and runs and does all those things. So you're going to get to see that in due course. I'll show you how to bump start a car or motor in the workshop with a handful of bits of wire and a bit of fuel. We're going to show you how to fire that up just to make sure it runs. So that's it for today. I'm going to duck inside, get myself a nice cold beer and chill out. And tomorrow I'm going to hit the ground running and we're going to get these side sheets on and get this body finished. Righto folks, we're back on the start of another day, and as you can see, she's ready to go. We are going to do the door skins and we're going to do the top cowl finish. We're going to finish the skin work on this body today. So what we need to do, start with, is we need to create a template for the whole side panel. Now I'm going to create a template that is an inch larger. Reason being is I'm going to use the same template for both sides, but I can't guarantee that this side is exactly the same as the other. So by creating a cut template that is larger than I need, I can cleco the skin in place, then I can trim specifically to this side, and I'll do the alternate on the other side. Once we've got this all trimmed and clecoed in, we can spot weld it, dress it in, move to the other side, and then we're going to final fit these top cowl pieces through here. And we are going to be creating a little buck tool to do the compression rivets through here. There's 7 rivets to go on this section on both sides. We'll do that later, but it's going to happen. So rather than wasting a lot of time talking, I'm going to get straight into this. We're going to do the template, transfer the material, cut the material, cleco it on the car, and we'll pick it up from there. So before we start trying to put the actual sheet of steel on there, it's going to be very difficult. You've got a piece of material that's like 8 foot by 2 foot long, weighs in a fair bit of material, and it's very unreliable and it flops around. So what I'm going to do as a temporary fixture is I've got a bit of 1.25 inch by 1/4 flat bar, and I'm actually going to tack it to the chassis rail right at the bottom of that thing. It becomes a ledger board. It just means that when I put the sheet up to try clamp and set in place, it's not going to try take off on me. So sometimes a few spot welds on the machine just to hold things in place is beneficial, absolutely. It's sort of safety first moment too, because what I don't want is that sheet of steel to come flying off and run down the front of your shins and do a little bit of meat shaving. Not okay. So I'm just going to quickly tack that in place so that we've got something for it to rest on. It's parallel and flush with the bottom straight edge, which is what we want. There you go folks, tech tip. Sometimes you need a temporary ledger board. So we've got the left hand side all set and secured. It's all clecoed in, it's just sitting there ready to start tacking in. I'm going to leave it at this stage like this. It's really ready to start tacking and welding, but I'm going to stop now and move on to the other side. The other skin needs to be in the same state of play. I'm not going to worry about showing you that. I've pretty much shown you how to get this to this stage here. The other side is just rinse and repeat. So, righto, so you can see we've got the second side all in now. It's all clecoed in. We've got our holes ready for our plug welding. We're going to plug weld all the perimeter there. We're going to go all in place. So what we're going to do next is get all the welding done on both sides, and that's going to leave us this top cowl section to do in the morning. So we can finish off the body, then we can give it a dress, and we're going to put a coat of etch before it gets too damp and too wet, because in this weather currently, you only have to look at a day and you get surface rust coming in on your nice clean metal. So enough chit chat, enough talk. Let me get the welder on and let's get it done. Good morning folks, we're back in Thommo's tin shed on the start of another day, and we're going to finish off the body. Now I got down here last night, got the welder going, got here early this morning and dressed it all up, just to annoy the neighbours of course. And we've got all the side pins all finished out. So both sides are done, both dressed up, they're both looking pretty neat. Leaving only the top cowl section to complete. That's what we're going to do today. So as if you watched the previous episode, you would have known that we've already created the panels and it sits in place and it all goes in. So we already have the panels fabricated, we just need the final. So what we're going to do is cleco it back in place. I've got a little bit of hand forming to do through here. It's just a little bit proud, I'm going to bend it back. But then we're going to set the holes for the rivets. We're going to fully weld it in. Now, I want this to look every bit Jack Nelson. Now, on his car, he simply just had the top cowl sheet riveted on. There was no welding involved, but we're just going to seal the cave out because my OCD is kicking in. So we're going to do that, but I'm going to leave a section of this skin unwelded across the bottom because we're going to rivet these with cold set rivets. So I want it to look like it's just a flat sheet skin. So I'm going to finish dress weld down to the end of this radius right here. Then I'm going to hammer form that down so it's nice and flat. Then we're going to run the rivets through here. So it'll give that visual representation of Jack's car, but it's just be a bit more tidy and a little bit less rattly when we're driving around Percolili because it'll get noisy. Trust me, it'll get really noisy. So that's what we've got on the go today. We're going to get this started. We'll get these done. And then once we're all done with that, I'm going to show you a little way of doing these rivets. We're not using pop rivets. They weren't invented till the 50s. And in this class, you can't use things that are not pre-war. So it's a good old hammer and a good old buck and die routine. So I'm going to show you how to do that as well. So that's later on. But for now, let's get these things tacked in and get them all welded up. I'll take them to tea. Okay, so you can see we've got this first half in. It's all cleaned up. Took all the surface rust off. Sitting there really nice, ready to start tacking. I've gone and added the extra holes in now, so in total there should be 7 rivets in that section. And this is what I was talking about finishing out. We're going to finish it right through to here. And 6 inches from this corner, it's our marker there, that's where the welding will stop. We'll finish the weld there. We're going to leave that as an exposed edge, and this one here, but we're going to finish weld down to there, so they'll tie it all in. But that will give that little bit of that Jack Nelson authenticity that we're looking for. So we're literally going to tack this one in place, then we're going to go the other side and we'll put the other one in place, and it's weld time. And then we're really getting close. That thing's looking like a body. Right, we're up to that point now. Sun's come out here in WA. And all the neighbours suddenly decide they need to get out in the backyard and do stuff. So we've got rocks being broken, we've got tractors being run, got dogs barking, birds chirping, the whole gamut of noises going in the background. But you're just going to have to deal with that, because what we need to do now is talk about Jack Nelson Ballot's rivets. Now, Jack's original car, the top cowl was literally just riveted on. And as I said previously, we've dressed and welded that up. It's a really nice finish edge now, but we wanted to retain this original piece that made it look like the car. Now here's the thing. This is what we would use in the modern world, a pop rivet. But these didn't turn up until into the 50s, I believe. Don't quote me, I can't remember the exact date. But they certainly weren't pre-war. So this thing here, throw it over your shoulder. It's no good to anyone here. What we actually use is, get a close up, don't mind my dirty nails, is a cold set rivet, or a compression rivet, or a dead blind rivet, lots of different names. I just call them cold set because you physically run them in hole. So the idea is you poke them in your hole and you hammer the back and mush them out and flatten out the other side. But of course if you start hitting that, it's just going to poke out. So what you need for these is a dolly. Now I just made this one up to suit these. I've got these from the parts shed, big bag of them. So what I did was I've just drilled and countersunk and dressed a little hole in it. It's designed to take that, if I can get a good picture of it, to take that head just proud. The idea is you want to support that with the dolly while you're hammering, but you don't want that to damage it or distort it. Now the reason I put a big washer on that is if I just left it as the 1/2 inch bar stock, you'd probably get a 1/2 inch ring line around it. So to spread the load and spread that out, that's why it's got that little shoulder on it. So this is a process. We put it in the hole. We line this one up over the rivet, and we get on the back and wail on it with a hammer. That's it. It's that easy. So the dolly supports the rivet while the rivet's being held in, and you use a planishing hammer or a ball peen hammer and you flatten out the other side. So again, bang it in the hole, use the dolly, nice and hard, grab your hammer and wail away. Not much to it, is it? So, one more time. Click it out of the way. Move it through the hole. Use the dolly. Bit of pressure. Hammer out the back. It's a bit crooked. Cold set rivets. That's all you gotta do. you have it, folks. That's another episode of Thommos Tin Shed wrapped up, and we have done what we set out to do, and we're actually starting to make up some ground now. Bit concerned there for a little while that we weren't going to get somewhere close, but we are really dribbling along now. So there's still a few bits and pieces to do on the inside of the bodywork, which I'll do during the week. Nothing much. It's just I got a bit keen and put some Sikaflex down, and then decided to weld steel onto it, and it's fried all that Sikaflex. So I got to get in there, clean that up, reset that. Bit of etch work on the bare metal side of the underside of the dash, and so on and so forth. And we can start looking at what we're going to do with the seats. But in the meantime, we're going to be seriously ready to pull this body off the chassis now, so that we can get back into the drive line. We're going to get the gearbox, the tail shaft done. We're going to get the tail shaft safety hoops, a few bits and pieces on the chassis. Once that's done, we can all take everything off the chassis, turn the chassis upside down, do the underside welding, and final paint the chassis. That's when it's really going to be kicking in, because from that point forward, anything that goes back on the chassis is a final fit. So we've got a bit of a run for home, and you know, to quote Graham Cox, we're sprinting to the finish, but we've got some real focus now, we've got some real direction now. So that's the main thing. We've got the car that looks like a real car now. It actually feels like the car. All I have to do now is fill in the gaps. Now I do need to finish the bonnet off. That's a little bit of work to do this week, and the radiator comes in. I'll need to do a little bit of additional work to the nose cone just to make sure the radiator fits in there and everything fits nicely. So there's a little bit of work to do there, but that's going to happen during the week. By the time we get back to the next episode, we'll be seriously looking about taking this off and getting into the meat and sandwich of the build, all the mechanics. So thanks for watching, thanks for hanging around, thanks for being patient while the body gets built. And for all those new subscribers who've been jumping on board with the channel, thanks very much. We appreciate everyone who jumps on board. You know, for me, it's just about come and join the journey with me, and it's really nice to see some people interested in what we're doing. So thank you so much. And don't forget, if you like what we're doing here, hit like, subscribe, hit those notifications, and we'll be back very soon on another episode of Thommos Tin Shed, and the Jack Nelson is ever inching forward. That's the main thing. All right, so until then, stay cool, stay safe, and we'll see you around.